What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Guys, Tariq Nasheed predicted something on the documentary about Hulu, that the Freaknik documentary, that some people were going to try to spin that particular narrative. I'd like to play a clip of that, and I'm going to come back.
Some of these feminists can get a hold of it and be like, hey, look, see how the black community, the culture of toxic masculinity, I'm already seeing these toxic masculinity pieces. I'm telling y'all now, when the documentary comes out, you're going to see bedwench divestment septum ring Twitter get on TV and start talking about, see, the black man is toxic. The black man ain't, you see how dangerous the black men are? They're going to start parading bedwenches and mammies around to spin that narrative. So we got to be real careful with people with these talking points. And we have to understand the truth, because what happens is when there's a group of dusty niggas who do anything off the wall, somehow that gets attributed to black culture as a whole. And we have to get in front of that and tell the truth. The thing with Freaknik, when it started, and Freaknik really started in the 80s. It really got popping in the 90s. And the whole thing about Freaknik, it was all about just people hooking up, men and women. You like each other, I like you, you like me. You from this place, I'm from that place. Let's hook up for the weekend and kick it. And it was that vibe. It was a very cordial, consensual vibe. It was a very fun vibe early on. Anybody will tell you the vibe wasn't all thirsty and goofy at first, especially going into the mid 90s, the 94, 95, 96. It was all about you meet a car full of women see some dudes, y'all like each other, y'all hook up with each other, everybody kick it, have a good time. The thirsty goofball shit started happening around 98. That's why 99 was the last official year of Freaknik. It got real thirsty and goofy 98. All the game goofy dudes started showing up. Then everybody started bringing camcorders, and niggas was rat packing chicks, and it got goofy. And most of the people involved in Freaknik said, hey, I'm cool on this. So as a culture, we bowed out of it because of the thirsty, dusty nigga behavior. It wasn't anything that we condone. Freaknik went downhill after the thirsty, dusty dude showed up. That's when everybody said, hey, this ain't what we signed up for. And as a culture, we let that thing fall by the wayside. We let Freaknik die a natural death. It was a fun time, but, that time has passed. That was the whole vibe. It was fun while it lasted.
And as soon as he has predicted this, I found out that brother Mark Lamont Hill, out of the great city of Philadelphia, is now holding men accountable for what happened during Freaknik. Now, again, he said he's been to several Freakniks in Atlanta. So to be fair, I have never been to Freaknik. I was, at the time, a little young, especially in 94, 95. I'd have been about 13 or 14 years old. So I was too young to go to stuff like that. And by the time the last Freaknik may have ended, it might have been like the late 90s, early 2000s. Still a little bit too young, probably couldn't afford to go. But I'd like to play what brother Lamont Hill said, and I'm going to come back.
A lot of noise is being made about this Freaknik documentary. A whole bunch of people talking about whose names and faces and voices and bodies are going to show up on this video from the 90s. And most of the conversation is about whether or not women will be exposed on this documentary, whether people's mamas and girlfriends and wives and daughters are going to show up in a Freaknik documentary. And I hear you. But that's the wrong issue. Look, I was outside in the 90s. I've been to Freaknik as an aspiring young journalist covering the story, of course. And when I was there, I saw what was happening. It's not just about women being half naked. It's not about women's hypersexuality. No, Freaknik is about men ogling, men fondling. Freaknik had a lot to do with male hypermasculinity and sexual violence. Freaknik is a fest. It is a sexual assault fest. That's not the only thing going on out there. I'm not trying to demonize or pathologize black people. But if we're talking about the worst parts of Freaknik, it wasn't about the actions of women. It was about the disgusting actions of us men. And so when you watch Freaknik, you don't need to be worried about mama, daughter, sister, girlfriend. You need to be worried about brother, son, husband, or yourself, and whether or not you were engaged in some of the worst parts of patriarchal culture, whether you were part of the worst parts of culture and misogyny and sexual violence. When we talk about Freaknik and the way we talk about Freaknik, it's a representation of all the problems we have in a society that always blames women for the actions of men. So don't check the women, check yourself.
Now, brothers, I want to just say, this. Number one, I was never at Freaknik, right? So I don't know the culture of what was going on at Freaknik, but I can kind of visualize from the small videos that I've seen and what I've heard is that, can I see some of the things going on with some of the brothers that Freaknik he's talking about? Groping and feeling on ladies and stuff. Sure. That I can see. But now to, let's say, put this all on men, as he is doing a patriarchal situation, and this is what men were doing. This is the things that this was happening. So then my only question is, brother, if your argument is that these women were so abused at Freaknik and you seen some of these, crazy situations going on, then why did Freaknik get bigger every year? And I'm talking about from like 94 on up, because from 94 on up, you had 95, 96, 97. So from what I understand, it was getting at some point to its highest inflection point. It was getting bigger. And I'm not trying to say this to be canceled, but if it kept getting bigger every year, it must have meant that the women who were going to Freaknik and kept going back to Freaknik didn't feel that scared. It must have meant that. I'm not saying that some women were not illegally, that could happen at concerts or anything, right? But a lot of those ladies, from what I can see, participated willingly. They were dancing. They were doing the contest. I'm not saying every lady was, but hey, not every guy was out there doing that. But what I know was a lot of ladies were like, I'm going. And it wasn't just women from Atlanta coming. Women came from all over the United States, as far as Oakland. Some folks as far as London, from what I'm being told. And then all the HBCUs, Alabama and A&M, Clark Atlanta, which is right there, Jackson State, Tennessee State. It kept getting larger because those ladies didn't fear for their lives. That's Mark Lamont. I've yet to hear a woman come out and say what Mark Lamont is saying. What I've been hearing are things like, hey, I just hope the video footage don't come out. Why are you hearing the ladies saying that? The ladies are saying, I don't want the video footage to come out because of what? Because they are afraid that what they were doing, expressing themselves, having fun, expressing their particular sexualities, or whatever they were doing, however they were doing it, they don't want nobody to see it because they're ashamed of that. And probably some of the guys are too. I can admit. People drunk, having fun, I get it. Are there some brother out there that did too much? I'm pretty sure. But overall, what you're seeing is women actively participating. Those are facts. And women, for the most part, are not going to participate in something that they feel it's not safe. That they feel it's not going to be something conducive. All-Star Weekend. Almost every All-Star Weekend, you see a lot of women going to All-Star Weekend. Are there some creeps going to All-Star Weekend? You bet you. But they gonna show up. Why are they showing up? Again, most women, if they don't feel safe at something, they're not going to go. If they feel like it's a bunch of dusty dudes there, broke dudes there, they're not showing up. Here in Uganda, they have Yege and Yege. And some of the same things he's talking about goes on. It can happen at Yege and Yege. It gets bigger, every year. Wanna know why? I feel that women just don't feel that it's so threatening to them. It would have to be, because that's why they're attending the event. Especially at the height. 93, 94, 95, 96. From what I understand, each bigger than the one before. So, bro, why you want to make these men look bad? Because I'm telling you, that's the playbook. To always make black men look bad. To make black men look like predators, even if these women are doing what they're doing by themselves. Always making black men look like predators. That's the playbook. And Mr. Mark Lamont Hill, what do you get out of that? But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.